everyone to another episode of Aussie Tech Security. This would be episode number 3. How he's doing. We are brought to you by athwebhosting.com.au and also a micro RNI consulting.com.au.
Why do you forget who I am?
I don't know. It just, when I look at RNI, it makes it look like an M. I don't know. And then that must just visualise to me as micro, but it's RNI consulting.com.au. And you can find Roger on Twitter at SME Security. And speaking of which, hello, Roger? How you doing?
Hey, how are you? Good to see you again, guys.
Not too bad. There. What have you been up to since our last chat?
Just working.
Yes, working hard. That's
putting
good.
some work into the website, actually. Just
Nice.
Putting some information up there to hopefully people will get more out of than not having it.
More out of than say YouTube website.
Oh no, that's still going too.
Yeah. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Now, so you're pimping out the RNI consulting site?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good work. Good work. All right. Now, what are we going to talk about today? The impact, pretty much cybercrime, the impact of cybercrime and hacking on not just the home user, but I suppose anyone in general, the business, small business community or home user. But we'll concentrate, I suppose, on the home user. We'll see how we go with that.
Let's concentrate on home users and micro businesses. So people who are working from home.
Yeah, okay, and that'd be me. And do you work from home or you're in an office?
I have. I'm lucky enough to have a client who had some extra space.
Right.
And he allowed us to put a really high-tech, high-end NBN connection in there because we've got crap at home.
Yes.
And now I can do a lot of the stuff that I can't do from home from his office.
So you're in the posh area of Canberra with NBN?
No, I'm in the industrial area.
Oh, right. Is that the place? Is that so? Industrial's got NBN?
Yeah.
Right, but the home users don't.
The home users don't know, and it's quite full. The commercial places in Canberra don't have it either.
Right.
So you can be in the centre of the city and not have NBN. You know where all the people are working from. That's a logical place to put NBN, but it's not there.
Doesn't happen that way. All right. Yeah. Well, with NBN, I suppose comes a faster way for hackers to be able to interrogate and ping your computer. I guess the faster the connection, the better it is for them. Unless you lock them out with, as Roger said in episode 1, 40 client, which I have installed on a couple of my machines. Very light. It's very good. But again,
it's not a bad product actually, and they keep it updated regularly as well. So
that's right. But what are the impact of cybercrime on the home user and us in general?
Well, there's really 3 areas that people should be concerned about. One is your access to money and how you use money on both your tablets and your phones and your devices at home. Your access to your personal information, so things like date of birth, driver's licenses, all of that information. And also on top of that, you've got to actually worry about the actual devices that you're using, because the cyber criminal can actually make money out of infecting someone's PC.
Yes.
And that's what people forget is if you've got an infected PC, then it can be used by the criminal enterprises to do whatever they want to do with it, and it's really no longer yours. So,
because I guess and just probably to maybe clear it up, I guess I'm on the right track. Excuse me when I say this, but I've been to because as you might or might not know, I fix computers just around the local area, and a few people I go to, they say my computer doesn't boot, I might have a virus, but normally that's not the case because the hacker wants the computer running.
That is correct.
That's the thing.
The more they can get out of the actual system itself, then the more beneficial it is to them. Because not only do they, by infecting the computers, they can actually then infect other computers as well that are either part of your social network, or they can infect your social media sites that you go to, whether that's Instagram or Facebook and those type of things. But it also means that as I said, your computer is no longer yours. And by having there's a number of viruses out there that turn your computer into a zombie.
Yes.
And zombies on the internet are not a good thing to have, because they literally do target all the other people who aren't zombies.
Yes.
And that's something that people really have to be very aware of.
And I suppose there's no real solution except you can just try and put the walls up as best you can with an antivirus.
As many walls as you can. As I said before, and in our previous discussions, there's things you can do but also there's attitudes you can develop as well. So those attitudes, and what I try to tell people is if you're paranoid about the digital world, then the chances are a lot less of being infected, because you've got that inane sight that may be a target, and I'm not going to click on that link, or I'm not going to open that application, or I'm not going to download from that dodgy site because it just doesn't look right.
Yes.
And that's literally why we try to teach everybody just to forget about what we've been taught for the last 25 years from Microsoft and Apple, that anything is there to be clicked.
Yeah.
Just take a few seconds before you do the click.
Yes, that's right. So what would be, say, real world implications? Like, you get on the internet and it's sort of like you're in the virtual world. You're YouTubing, you're doing this, you're doing that. You might be doing some hate tweets or whatever, in your spare time. But bring it back to the real world. Like, what are real world implications? Like, police knocking on your door? Would that happen? Or what's...
Yes. Actually, there's a number of things that you really have to be aware of. One is that the cyber criminal, the digital criminal, always looks for the lowest hanging fruit. So the person who is not actually actively protecting their computer. The next target they pick on is people who are going to be gullible to either a scam or a process that they're going to put in place that allows them to gain access. So what that is things like, if you're a gamer and you're going to a hack site to get a hack for a game you're playing.
Oh, they're the worst.
Yes, because by going to the website that is, most of them are infected. But the other thing is that because they're a hack for the software that you're already running, then they've already broken the encryption and the systems that are already in place. So it makes it easier to target you. And also things like torrents. We use torrents for downloading movies and films and applications and anything else we can get our hand on for free.
For free. Illegally.
Yeah, illegally.
Yes.
But torrents also have some of the worst torrents actually set up areas on your computer that you can't actually see, that they use to store the things that you're downloading, so that they can then seed the rest of the torrent feed. But also in that area, you can end up with child pornography. You can end up with as I said, hacks or applications that have been cracked and all this sort of stuff. So what that does is it makes you legally liable for the information that's on your computer. And that could be 10 or 15 gigs worth of child pornography.
Wow. You're going to have a bit of time trying to explain that away, aren't you?
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing to do. It's we've been in a number of situations where we've had to make an ethical call on someone's computer that's come into the office. Is how ethical we have to be about it. If it's in a torrent environment, then we can actually say that it probably had nothing to do with the user.
Yes.
But if it's not in there, then we have to make a call on whether we're going to talk to the police or what we're going to do about it.
Right. Yeah. So you would have your own guidelines, obviously, about that. Yeah. So have you ever had to go to the police and say?
Once we've actually had to go to the police. We were working for a government-based client, and one of the computers came into the office from there, and it was it wasn't nice. We literally just had one look at it, closed it all up, and rang the police and said, "Do you need to come and have a look at this?"
Right, and they were on top of things, like they were pretty straight.
There was a prosecution and the whole thing.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, but as I said, it's an ethical thing that we have to say. Well, is it done by the person who's running the computer, and it may be the 14-year-old kid who's got a profile on the computer, or it may be a torrent that's set up all this information.
Would the police be as ethical as you in terms of they for whatever reason, financial investigations, they go to and raid someone, say an accountant's computer. They get the computer because they think they're doing some accounting fraud or something like that. They take the computer back to their forensics. They do what you do or whatever. They go, oh, look at all this child porn. Do they look and say, oh, okay, this is in the torrent area?
Yes.
So this may not be what he's really into, or they just go, "Oh, hello, promotion."
Yep. No, they a bit of both. They are always looking for that, and even though it's in a torrent area, then they can still prosecute the person whose computer it is. Most of the time, they'll actually set it up and run the computer as the person who has actually been using it, and actually then use that to get further into the web that is in place around the torrent.
Right.
Again, it's very, one of the things you've got to be very aware of is that the cyber criminal area is not just people trying to steal stuff. It is people trying to do things that are illegal in the real world. So that includes things like downloading movies that have been pirated.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. It's amazing so when they download a movie, what are they getting out of that? They're just spreading the virus to other computers, but eventually...
Not so much. Movies and music are probably not as dangerous, but when you're downloading things that are like applications and operating systems, then you have a very real chance of it, because you actually have to install that on the computer.
Yes.
Then you are physically actually installing that software on your computer. And if that is infected with a malware component, then you're installing that malware component on your computer.
Yeah. Look,
and that's what you've really got to be very aware of.
Yeah, and I think it was quite a few years back now where everyone used to pirate software, Windows, whatever.
Yes.
XP, I had burnt copies of XP all over the place. And look, it got to the stage where I just said, I'm sick and tired of my computer crashing and doing funny things. I went out and bought an operating system, and the day I bought that operating system is the day I had no more problems.
Yes, that's dead right.
No more problems, and I was happy. So how do these criminals... what are their tools of the trade? Like, how do they try and create the virus or the malware embedded into the downloadable software or movies or whatever. But, they've got password crackers, and like, can they sit outside of your house and crack your Wi-Fi, etc.?
Yes, they can. You've got to remember that the digital criminal is, as I said, after everything that they can get their grotty little hands on. And whether that's cracking your Wi-Fi password so they can use your Wi-Fi to target someone else, then that is a part of what we class as digital crime.
Yeah.
But the other things are things like, if they do get a foothold on your computer, then instead of... they will then download everything that you have anything to do with. So if you're using your computer for banking, then they will have access to your banking details. If they're using it for, if you're using PayPal or YouTube or Facebook, and those two, they will have access to those accounts. From there, they can then go to the next level, which is if you're a member of, let's say you're a member of a closed group on Facebook, and you can actually then recommend someone else to join that group who is outside that group as a requirement. So you're vouching for someone even though you're not vouching for them. There was a classic example, and one of the professors at Columbia University about 4 years ago did an experiment using social media. And what they did was they infiltrated a closed Facebook website or Facebook page that was run by a regional airliner.
Right.
And they got to the stage where, and this is when the professor actually called the experiment off, is when they'd got into so deep into this that they had the ear of the CEO, and one person actually put a request on Facebook for them to delay a plane for an hour because he wasn't there and he needed to catch the plane, and they delayed the plane. So that's when he called it a stop. Because once you get into these groups, you are then part of the trusted network that the people are going to not question. Right. And that's what they want you to do. They want you to be able to not question what they do.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
that's
so
amazing.
They can get in there, they can get on that group you're in and go, oh, this is a great link, and send you to a link that's an infected website.
Yes, okay.
Okay, so what they've done is they've used our trust to seed that Facebook group and then gone to the next stage with that.
So how safe are, say, the government departments then? Because, they're connected to the internet. I suppose their staff, they click on these links. Have they got like higher level security?
Most of the enterprise level stuff actually catches 99.9% of this sort of thing, because what they do is they manage the firewall both coming in and going out, and they will look for connections that are going to certain IP addresses, which is the command and control components.
Yeah.
But the criminals got hold of this and got wise to it. So what they do now is that they encrypt everything in the SSL channel, so 443, and send it out that way, because that part of the web, that information can't be tracked because it goes through goes through the firewall as encrypted traffic. So they've had to use other systems to actually augment things like next generation firewalls and things like that.
Yeah, it's scary sort of stuff, isn't it?
It really is a détente type thing, you know. They come up with something, we protect ourselves. They come up with something else, we protect ourselves. And everybody has to remember that digital security is not only set and forget, but it's also it's reactive. We have to react to a threat. We can't be proactive because there's so many threats out there.
Yeah. That's that story about the CEO and the delaying of the plane. That's just amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, they did a very good write up on it. It was quite. It took the class 18 months to get to that level.
Yeah.
And they had 2 teams of a persona. And one was a male and one was a female, and the female was the one that got everything done.
Of course.
And it was fascinating to read. It really was.
How did it go on and say how the CEO ended up after that?
Well, I think the professor actually rang the CEO and had spoke to him and said, "This is what we've been doing. We didn't mean to cause this problem, but you have to be very aware of the trust issues that comes from Facebook, or Twitter, or LinkedIn, and those type of things."
Yeah.
Because, as I said, once you're in that group, you are then a trusted component of that group.
Yeah, that's just incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose so. Like other ways of scamming you or getting into your computer. What about public Wi-Fi networks? Can they? You might go to your shopping centre. Can they just hook into your phone and embed themselves in there? You go home, sync to your Wi-Fi. Blah blah blah.
Yes, that's very. The thing about public Wi-Fi is if you're using any Wi-Fi that doesn't require an encryption key to get onto, then all of that information that you are transferring between your device and the Wi-Fi component can be scanned and can be picked up because it's all in plain text.
So do you mean like a key as in a password to access the network?
Yeah, if you're not using a password
even if the password's publicly freely available?
It doesn't matter. If the password is freely available, then it's not a problem because all the encryption, the encryption is not based on that as well. It's based on a few other things that come from the device that's attaching it. So every encryption channel that's going through a Wi-Fi is a different, let's say, frequency, even though it's not. So that there's no overlap, and that's how the system actually manages the connections.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it over no encryption, so nobody has a password to use that Wi-Fi, then anybody can connect to it. Anybody can read what traffic is going through it.
Do you think in Australia that we're got to be just as vigilant, say, as if you were overseas in US or Europe?
One of the things people forget is digital world is worldwide. It doesn't matter if you're in a hotel in Mali or you're sitting in Alice Springs, for instance. You are connected to the digital world, and the digital world is all-encompassing of what we do. And it's probably going to get worse before it gets better because you've got things like Google's putting up clouds that have Wi-Fi systems that they are going to be able to manage places that they can't get Wi-Fi to. That type of thing is going to then become the norm, and we then have to look at how we're going to defend us against that. Yeah,
now I've just got written down here, I made a couple of notes on just the general reasons for hacking, other than the obvious of trying to, I don't know, get in and get your bank account, transfer money around. But there's a lot of like script kiddies. You would have heard the term, I suppose. They're probably just the dudes out there for a bit of fun, bit of mischief.
Well, no, yes and no.
They want to be
on the safe side. Yes, they're out there for a bit of fun, but a script kiddie usually gets things like they'll use a system called Metasploit, for instance. Okay, now Metasploit is a download that you can put on a computer that does all this script kiddie stuff for you.
Right.
But the trouble is with things like Metasploit is they still go back to a command and control center, so that if you find a site that allows them to access through an SQL injection, for instance,
Yeah.
that information then goes back to where that Metasploit was downloaded from.
Right.
And that's part of Metasploit. Kali Linux is another one where you can actually install Kali Linux as a virtual system on a PC. So in Sun virtualized PC or any of the virtualization systems, and you can then go, I'm going to put Kali on here. I can then do whatever I need to do. Now, Kali is really it was developed by the white hat community, not the black hat community.
Right.
So it is looking for exploits and how to patch them and fix them up for a client.
Yeah, okay.
But it doesn't stop a script kiddie from downloading that onto his father's laptop, and he wouldn't even know it was there. And when he's sitting in his bedroom, he can literally get on there and do whatever he needs to do.
Yeah.
One of the things we stipulate is if you're going to have your 10 to 15-year-olds using computers or phones or tablets, then you do it in public. There's none of this take the phone into the back room and use it.
Yes, right.
Because that way you have a medium level of control over what you're doing, what they're doing. But if they go to the stage where they are secreted in their back room and the lights are all off and they're just doing strange and wonderful weird things, then you may need to intercede and see what they're doing.
Well, I guess it's a high temptation, isn't it, for the young kids? I remember, when I was a young fellow, I had my Apple IIc, and although we didn't have no internet, but you used to get your games or whatever. You used to edit some of the games, so the splash screen would show, your little hacker tag or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
Just for a bit of fun. And then you started spreading that game around with your splash screen, and that was all good fun. But I suppose things are progressed from good fun to pretty nasty stuff these days.
Well, it's actually only been in the last 10 years that it's actually taken this real dark area that's really come into play. Previous to that, as you said, script kiddies and hacktivists were only there to deface websites or have a bit of fun. The classic example is war games from the 1980s. When all they were doing was interested in getting in there and having a bit of fun.
Yes.
Then the criminals get hold of it, and by the criminals getting hold of it, they actually changed the whole, I suppose, field of play, because we are now in a situation where we have to play catch up to everything they do.
Yes.
And we constantly forget how clever the criminals are, because we've got the Darwinian thing coming in as well. The not so bright and the not so clever get caught, or the people who don't get caught then go on to develop other ways of attacking us.
And I suppose probably just going slightly on a parallel track, but recently after all this Paris business, we've seen Anonymous come out, and they've been closing down Twitter accounts of ISIS. So how does, say, Anonymous get to that stage where they can do that? Does someone in Twitter have to give them the password to be able to do this, or
not
are they just getting hacked?
To tell you the truth, I really don't know how Anonymous is doing it. But I have. It's an interesting thing that we've got this. I suppose Anonymous, which is a cyber-based group, I suppose is probably the easiest way of saying it, versus a realist-based group, which is ISIS. But the trouble is ISIS use a lot of the digital world as well, and I think they forget that the moment you use the digital world, you do not apply the rules of what you're doing in the real world, because it doesn't work. Their How to Avoid Being Hacked by Anonymous document that came out about a week ago was, when looking at it from the eyes of a digital security person, was pretty humorous, actually.
Right.
Because they really do not understand the implications of what they've got involved in.
Yes.
And to tell you the truth, I think although Anonymous, for what they are doing, is to be commended, I think they're going to tread on a lot of toes of government and law enforcement by doing what they're doing.
Because I thought initially at the time, I thought, okay, why aren't the governments doing this? Close down the lines of communication, stop the radicalisation, and isn't that a good thing?
It's a good thing, but they can't, because the moment they do that, they then cross some of the amendments in the US government, and this is the other thing you've got to be really aware of. Right. And also some of the internet-based I suppose, ideas are based on free communication, because anybody should be able to use whatever they need to do to get their communication out there. And if you think about it, the internet is really true democracy. Everybody has access to it. Everybody has an opinion, and everybody can do what they want.
Yes.
And you can't stop that from happening. The moment you start putting limitations on that, then you are throttling the internet. And that's what a lot of the people who have been in the internet and developed the internet are really scared of. And this is one of the reasons why things like, what's his name, Snowden was really concerned about when he went public, was that though we're all on the internet and we're all using the internet for our own things, what capacity do the governments have to monitor and to track everything that we do? I think that's what he was scared of.
You see on some TV shows, there's a whole floor of people just listening to phone calls and listening for words and all this sort of stuff. Do you reckon that's fair income? Like, is that really what happens?
I don't know about listening, but they've got algorithms on their system that are looking for specific words, specific phrases, specific combinations of words and phrases, and that will then go into a system where they are going to listen to it. But also those words have to be in every language you can think of. So bomb in English and whatever the other ones are in Korean and Saudi Arabian and all that sort of, that makes it a very big job.
All right, I think just to finish up on what about why cybercrime through social media is a problem for everyone. I think we've pretty much covered that, obviously, because you click on the wrong thing. And just an example of some of the wrong things, you've got everyone's probably seen Facebook posts come through. Facebook post titled, "Dad walks in on daughter, embarrassing." You go, oh, okay, what was she doing? So you click on it, and then who knows where that goes and what happens there. So I suppose, so you click on that, like you think it's harmless enough. So that, yes, that could take you to an external link. But if it takes you to another Facebook page, what's the problem there? Like, are they at some stage going to get you to download and install or go to an external link at some stage?
Well, it depends. Only about 1% of the things that are there are systems that have got through without being noticed. The other 99% are either picked up by Google in their search algorithms. It's picked up by Facebook in their privacy algorithms as well. But there was also recently a couple of things where I got a spate of invitations from people who are already on my Facebook, and that's another thing that they do. That they will send you invitations from people you know.
I've had that.
Because what they've done is they've actually compromised someone's computer that has an access to a Facebook account, and then they have looked at who their friends are, and then from there they can get all that information.
I know, because I've only had that, well, as far as I know, had that happen once to me, because I'm not a blind acceptor of people.
No, nor am I.
And then this guy, I said, I thought he had an account. He must have somehow unfriended me, and then he's friended me again. So I did, well, obviously, because it was exactly the same profile. I friended him. And then he sent me all these messages, like girls with, big things and blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, well, that's not like him.
So you unfriended him?
And I thought, I sent him a message and said, "What's going on? I think you've been hacked." Because then I searched my friends. I had two of him. I thought, okay, he's been hacked or something. But I don't know, maybe that if I had thought, okay, this is an interesting conversation, and I've gone further and further into it, then something would have happened down the track. And
well, again, he's developing trust, and one of the things that they do is your group of friends. Normally, they mirror how the other person is actually doing it, so they will see what's on their feed and see what they've been posting or liking or reposting and sharing, and then they will then lead either away from that to another area, or they will lead other people into that area and use that as well. But as I said, for every 100 posts that he might have put up, one might have been the infected one that's going to catch someone.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and that's all they need. It's that minuscule lack of judgment on us, and we've gone click, and that's usually it. Yeah. One of the things you've got to remember is how they target individuals anyway. when you click on a link in a Facebook page, for instance, or on an email, and it is going to install something, you'll always get something come up and say you have you have not got the latest version of Flash and you now need to download it and install it.
Yeah.
That is what they're trying to get you. And again, going back to the being paranoid and using common sense, if you just watched a video 5 minutes ago and then you click on a link that says you can't watch this video because you haven't got the right version on, then that is time to go, I don't need to watch that video.
No, that's right.
But then again, it might be Justin Bieber, it might be
whatever.
Yeah. Swizzle, it might be any of those people that a young person will just automatically go, oh, bugger it, I want to see the video. And when they've installed it, the video is not there anyway.
No.
And you're in serious problems.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look, other things quickly is see who viewed your profile. Get a Starbucks or Gloria Jean's gift card. The dislike button. Make thousands working from home. We've all seen those. Twitter direct messages with bad links. Twitter mentions. LinkedIn stock scam. Justin Bieber stabbed. We can only wish.
You're going to give them the knife, huh?
Oh, look, I looked up. I thought I'd sit down and try and get funky the other day, and I turned on Spotify and thought I'll do the top, 100 Aussie songs. He had like 4 or 5 songs in the top 10. I can't believe it.
They're real Aussie songs, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Real good, hard rockin' stuff. Your account has been cancelled. Confirm your email account. And the list would just go on and on and on and on and on. So I think at the end of the day, the best thing that you can do is just make sure you just don't click on anything you're not expecting. Anything with an exe, don't click on it. Anything that wants higher privileges to install, don't do it. And just be sensible about it all.
Sensible, common sense.
Because at the end of the day, you don't want those real world problems, those virtual problems, following up into the real world, knocking on your door. Yeah,
that's right.
Saying, hello, you've got some nasty stuff on your computer, you've breached so-and-so's privacy, you've published some sensitive documents or whatever.
Right.
Whatever. So it's hard work. So I think... tighten up with your malware byte is a good one, your 40 client or AVG or whatever you like to use. And between that, antivirus and common sense, I think that's as much as you can do, I think.
Well, this is right. They're always going to come out with better and harder things for us to track. If you remember a couple of years ago, well, not even that, 18 months ago, when you used to get the post office email concerning crypto locker. It was really easy to distinguish, and it was usually the person who didn't actually look at it that went, oh shit, better click on that link. If you have a look at the ones that came out in the last 3 weeks, they are practically indistinguishable from something you would get from post office, Australia Post.
Yes.
And it's only by being very aware of what's going on will you not click on the link that goes, you've got a parcel, if you don't get it in the next 10 days, we're going to start charging you.
Really?
No, they don't do that.
Ring the post office, that's right.
Yeah.
I've been getting audio calls on the telephone.
Yeah.
From the ATO.
That was the other one.
Some real bad American accent telling me that I've got to send money to get money.
Yes.
Crazy. A couple of grand. But
we know you've got a $1,000 thing, but you need to give us $1,000 first.
Yeah. Or there was another one with we've noticed something suspicious about your profile with the Australian Tax Office. The federal police are going to knock on your door. Ring us now or do whatever now. Otherwise, good luck with that. And that's how they ended it. Otherwise, if you don't send us $2,000 and we don't get this sorted, good luck with that. And it was just crazy. But I think we've covered pretty much. That has been a good yak about the implications and the real world problems of letting stuff through your social media or whatever. So it's great stuff. Good stuff, Roger. Thank you very much.
No worries, Ben. Thank you very much.
We should hopefully see you fairly soon for another episode of Aussie Tech Security. And the mantra, Roger, is.
I've gone and forgotten it.
That the digital
cybersecurity is my problem.
That's right. It is everyone's problem, and you've got to be vigilant. All right. Thanks, Roger. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Glenn.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.